Here at Summer Game Fest, we caught a behind closed doors demo of Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Tam, you're a big FromSoftware boy.
I am a big FromSoftware boy. I would describe myself as a little FromSoftware freak.
Well, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
I'm obviously more familiar with FromSoftware's Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, the Soulsbornes of them.
Yeah.
Armored Core is never anything that I have personally played, so I'm just going to field questions to you.
Yeah, I will like cards on the table, full transparency. Armored Core is a franchise that I've always dabbled in, and I've played multiple entries in the series, but not because I like really gelled with them in the same way that I gelled with in pretty much like the FromSoftware games or any other franchise I would. I had like a more of an almost academic analytical interest in those, and I did have fun with a couple of them here and there, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest expert in Armored Core. So if I say anything that is like I don't want to hear it. What I can say is it was definitely interesting to see the changes that they've made to it. One that there's kind of two groupings of changes, I feel like. One is the changes that they made for Armored Core fans in response to previous Armored Core games. And those are we'll get through some of that. But the other grouping of changes is the changes they've made to how Armored Core plays to make it closer to a FromSoftware game. Full transparency, or like, let's just get the elephant out of the room, it is not a Souls-like. It does not play like a Souls-like in pretty much any measure that you would expect it to. It has some of the core principles of games in Souls-likes, but those aren't principles that are design principles, they are FromSoftware principles. So the idea of challenge is core to the games that FromSoftware makes now. And that is something that's very present in Armored Core. It has the similar kind of loop. So I guess from a design perspective, that's the closest you'll get to a FromSoftware Dark Soulsborne loop. The idea of facing a challenge, dying, coming back and trying again. What they've done is adapted that to make it work, one, for high speed, fast paced combat, and also two, to really kind of allow Armored Core fans to indulge kind of customizing cores and building the ideal mech for the scenario. So pulling back a bit, the game isn't vast. It's not an open world in the way that any of the other games that they've made is. What they've gone for here is environments that are very vertical and have a lot of density of detail in terms of architecture and geometry. And the reason they do that is because they want you to really take advantage of the fact that Armored Cores can be quite nimble and move around in the environment. And it's not just when you're like engaged in one-on-one combat or any sort of combat, it's also an element of traversal. You fight a group of enemies. Some of them are simple stuff. You just use your standard like chain gun, machine gun, or shoulder cannon, and then you move on from there. Some of them are like bigger boss battles, but usually what you need to do is you fight one group and then you kind of figure out how to find the next group and move towards the main objective. And it's not like go down this tunnel, it's like go up through this hole, through these like kind of like girders, in between this like smokestack, down through this like that kind of under this bridge, and along the way you're fighting. The other part of it is like the kind of like expanse of it means that they can put more groups of enemies, and also enemies that are quite different in how they play and fight, them using the melee to take them out. So it was like you hit the button and it does the like side to side dash that everyone loves to see big robots do, and then there's like a blade that you use and take them out. When it came to like one of the core mini boss boss fights, it was way more of a ranged game. The core that we were shown was one that they had like pre-built almost, and it was ready there. And the problem that one had was it was quite tanky. Not tanky, it was slow. And so what happened was they were fighting another enemy that was quite hardy and also was very like damage outputty. So they got killed. Then they went back to what is effectively the garage and showed us the customization options, which were
good lord,
a lot. It was a lot of it. It's the kind of stuff that when you see it, you're like, oh, this is what a core part of the game is. This is you can tell, oh, this is for the people who like to make things and like figure out how one thing works and upgrade this part so it does this. And that is where the loop of the kind of FromSoftware loop kind of changes, where it's like, instead of in Dark Souls where you die to an enemy, you go back, you try again. This is you die to an enemy, you go back, you look at the character that you have, the core that you have, and think, why did I die? What do I have available to me that I can add or remove from my core to give me a better chance to overcome that challenge? and then you go back, and in this case they made a more nimble one, and then beat that enemy and then moved on. In the next major combat scenario, the same thing happened, and it was maybe like 10 minutes later, it was like another major boss battle, and they died straight away. And it was like, okay, the core I made for that previous boss no longer works here, so I need to go back into the garage and like figure this stuff out, change my core, upgrade things, and I'm good. So it is that loop, but it's a loop that is catering towards Armored Core in a little more of a natural way. There's not much beyond it that we saw than that. There's a lot of story stuff that was kind of coming in and out, but I'm not super familiar with the Armored Core story. But it seemed I don't know the Armored Lore. Vati, you can have that one for free.
No, you can't. I said that.
Oscar, you want to license Armored Lore for your videos? It feels like a game that Armored Core fans are gonna enjoy, to me, based on what I saw.
But do you think this will be the game that truly breaks through?
I don't think
to a wider audience.
Yes and no. I feel like if you are in the market for a kind of fun smashy robot game, and you can pick that up, and it looks like it'll be very playable, it feels like it looked like you could get through it without like really hitting major walls in that you would in a Souls game, provided you engage with the various mechanics. So yes, but also it is a very niche kind of game. Like, it's not something that everyone loves. I feel like, obviously this is a preview stage, but based on what I saw, the people who love Armored Core, they're going to see the stuff, and once they get their hands on it, I think they're going to enjoy what they have. Whether it holds its ground over the entire experience remains to be seen. I think more importantly, the good thing about this, or the thing that I'm interested, or I think the value this adds, is it kind of adds more variety to the things that FromSoftware is capable of making and known for making. They don't want to be pigeonholed as a studio that only makes Souls games. They want to move away from that. They want to give themselves some sort of like safety nets and diversity and catalog and longevity, and the way you do that is you explore different kinds of games, and I think this is going to be a good step towards doing that. It kind of reminds me of Ace Combat Assault Horizon, which is another Bandai Namco game in the Ace Combat series, very niche series. When Assault Horizon came out, people were like, oh, this is really good and anyone can play it. It was basically like Call of Duty 4 Ace Combat. And
the stepping stone.
Yeah, the stepping stone to a new kind of like era of Ace Combat. This feels like it could be the stepping stone to a new era of Armored Core. And it's just good to see the studio go back to its roots. They kept that franchise alive through many, many generations on a very niche audience. And it's great now that they have the fame and the fortune of all these Souls games. The first thing they think of doing is, let's take care of the people that stuck with us for the longest time. That's just good behavior from FromSoftware. So you love to see it, truly.
You do.
Yeah.
For more on Armored Core, make sure to keep your eyes peeled to GameSpot. Obviously, the game is coming out pretty soon. It's coming out in August. So we'll have much more closer to the time.